Hi, this is Craig and welcome back to another Average Tech Fan edition of Cruising Off Duty. In this one, we're going to be comparing the Mavic 2 Pro to the Phantom 4 Pro. To do this comparison, I collaborated with another YouTuber named Steve who has a channel called Captain Drone. You may have seen it already. If not, he's all about drone technology, so make sure you check him out. I'll put his channel link in the description below. But in this episode, we're going to check out some features that the Mavic 2 Pro has that the Phantom 4 Pro doesn't have, such as the ability to pan the camera around left and right, up and down, without actually turning your drone. Another thing is, the obstacle avoidance on the Mavic 2 Pro is far superior. It chases me around trees, it goes under branches, it's pretty cool. I was getting my workout in doing these tests because I was running all over this park trying to lose the drone, and I never lost it. It always changed altitude to follow me. My drone is also faster than his, it seems, in sport mode. It also returns to home faster, but it won't land where it takes off, and we all know that. So there are some features that the Mavic 2 Pro really needs to improve. So we're going to discuss the pros and cons of each coming right up, so stay tuned.
Check this out. There's Craig from Cruising Off. Hey, you don't have your t-shirt on.
I don't have my shirt. I usually wear it, but...
Yeah, so Craig has his own YouTube channel. He's in Ottawa here with me, and he has a great channel that involves sailboats and drones, so it's one of a kind. Way different than mine, and I'm going to put a link below where you can check it out. But right now I'm going to turn the floor over to Craig because I want him to take at least maximum 30 seconds and tell us all about his channel. Take it away, Craig.
Thanks, Steve. So my channel, Cruising Off Duty, if you look behind us, that's the Nepean Sailing Club. My channel started a little over 2 years ago when I was sailing out of here. I had the unique Q500 as my first drone. I was filming places we anchored. I moved up to the Mavic. I started doing tutorials on the Mavic. I got a lot of views that way. Continue to do my sailing as my sailboat's now in the Thousand Islands down near Kingston. And I've subsequently gotten myself the new Mavic Pro 2. It's more sailing with the drones being more of a cinematic tool than your channel, which is all about drone tutorials. So that's pretty much it.
Time's up. Perfect timing. All right, so what we're going to do next is, since Craig has the Mavic 2 Pro, and he's had it now for how many days?
About 10 days.
We're going to do another segment where I'm going to ask him his opinion about what he thinks about it and how he's loving it. But we'll come back to that after this. Got all these warnings. It's going to be dangerous. You ready? Don't adjust your camera at all. Yeah, you say 1, 2, 3. Hey, come on over here. Then you'll be in my microphone.
Oh, okay. My dogs might bark.
And you'll be on camera. What's your first name?
Lil Bear. Everybody calls me Lil Bear.
Okay, Lil Bear. You are now the starting race coach. You ready?
I've done this for skidooing before. So, 1, 2, 3, go!
Here we go.
Uh-oh, you're gonna crash into each other.
No, don't tell me that. Okay, so if you see the table bounce like this, that's us hitting the table because we're so excited. So we're gonna try not to do that, but if we do, you'll have to forgive us. So right now, Craig has his Mavic 2 Pro, which he's holding up in the camera. He just received that 10 days ago. Yeah. Well, there we go. So 10 days ago, and he's got his initial impressions. Now, I've had mine for a little bit longer, and I have my initial impressions, and if you watch all my videos, you've sort of seen where I'm going with this. I have a lot of thoughts. One thing I always notice is that when DJI has a launch event, there's so much hype that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it cures baldness or blindness and all these things, these drones. And then you get these guys on day one who have been given the launch product, and they're flying these things, and everything's great for them. But then we, the consumers, get them, and there's so many glitches and all these problems, but those guys never mentioned it, so take their reviews with a grain of salt. The actual real reviews are the guys like you and I who actually have it later, and we discover all these issues with it and also the things that are really great about it. So right now, after 10 days, Craig, what's your pros and what's your cons?
Yeah, and we both pay for our drones.
Yes, so that's right. We both pay for them.
This is completely objective. Nobody paid me to say anything. So this is comparing to my Mavic Pro. I have the original Mavic Pro, and to be quite honest, I love that drone. I didn't realize I needed a new drone until I saw the features on this one. I'm a videographer. I'm not a drone tutorial master like Steve is, but I use it as a cinematic tool for my channel. So what really sold me on getting the new one was the camera. The camera is the big step up here. So the other camera is a 1/2.3 inch. This is a full 1 inch sensor, and what that's going to give you is the ability to get much cleaner, better shots in low light. That's the main thing. And then the second thing about the camera is the manually adjustable aperture, to go from a tiny little 2.8 f aperture all the way up to f11. So that gives you the ability to dial down if it's too bright. Like today's a beautiful sunny day, so I can get this up to f11 and therefore lengthen my my shutter speed to give me smoother images, not as stuttery. So that was the main thing. That was the reason I bought it. The other things that came with it that were just sort of icing on the cake were the omnidirectional sensors. To have sensors in every angle so that when I am autonomously flying, tracking a boat or tracking myself doing whatever, this thing can fly on its own, and I know that it can't go sideways into a tree, backwards into a tree, whatever. The old Mavic Pro really only had the downward sensors for landing and then the front sensors for avoiding things. But if you flew autonomously and the drone ever started to go sideways on its own, you're taking your chances, right? You can run into a power line or a tree or whatever. So that was kind of a selling feature as well. If you want to autonomously fly, having omnidirectional is a pro. The third pro is it's faster, it is stronger, it flies longer, 31 minutes versus 27 minutes on paper. So it's about 4 extra minutes of flight time. So you add those things up and all those things are important. I didn't think speed was really going to be a big important thing for me because I want cinematic, so I want smooth. But it's amazing if you've got something way out in the water there, to get up, get out there quick and film it and still have plenty of battery life because it took so little time to get out there. Really makes a big difference. It gives you more flight time out there to record things. Yeah. And I noticed a huge difference when I started flying my Mavic versus my Mavic 2 Pro side by side, how much quicker this drone is.
What do you think about the gimbal? This one here has a very interesting gimbal. You take off the bubble. Yeah. So most gimbals have the normal up, down, left, right, and side to side. This gimbal here also allows you, it has little arms here that don't really get too much in the way, but you can actually turn the gimbal and look left and right, which is pretty interesting with the drone, especially like this. A lot of people don't use that feature, but it's a pretty cool feature when you're hovering and you're flying along and you want to look a little bit to the right. You can actually turn the camera to the right or the left while you're flying. So do you get the landing leg in? I thought you did, but it looks like you should. Yeah, you do.
Right there.
Yeah, so the landing leg is in there.
I can go up and sideways too.
Yeah.
I can go up, down.
That's one of the best, in my opinion, that's one of the best features of this here Mavic 2, and they didn't even talk about it. That's such a cool feature. You just hover there and you can follow the action around. Okay. So this is the thing I love about that. So we're in the center of the picture. I'm gonna walk to the right. The Mavic 2 Pro is sitting right there. Look at this, I'm almost at a 90-degree angle. I am at a 90-degree, and he's still looking at me. That is almost as good as like a 360-degree gimbal, but that's a 180-degree gimbal. But you know what? Not enough people talk about that feature. That is such a cool feature on the Mavic 2. Yeah, I'm still in the image. Yep. Pretty cool.
The Mavic didn't move at all.
Hasn't moved an inch. No, it just sits there.
I guess I hit the C1 button and it goes right back to center again. Boom.
Oh, perfect.
So
okay.
There you go. So if you get all disoriented about where your camera is, then you just hit C1. Yeah. It wasn't even at the presentation. They didn't even mention that.
No, they didn't mention it. Certain things they leave out. They talked about a lot of great things at the presentation. Of course, they left out precision landing for obvious reason because it doesn't precision land. Yes. But that's not a deal breaker for most people. No. Overall, it's well, I personally think overall it's a great drone. I do think it's a little on the high price, especially lately since DJI has been increasing the battery prices. It is a 4-cell battery, so they had to bring it up a bit, but they're increasing the price of a few things. A lot of people, this might put this drone out of the price range of the average consumer that wants a drone, but what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. If you are not into you know, 1-inch sensor and cinematics, and this is more of a personal drone for your cottage or your weekends with your family, and you just want a drone, I highly suggest you just get the Mavic Pro. Because I think they are $9.99 now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go on sale getting closer to Christmas. So they might be $8.99, $7.99, or you can pick them up on Kijiji or Craigslist because people like us are going to turn around and sell our drone once we're done reviewing them. So the Mavic Pro will probably be sold by a lot of us. I know you talked about it. I probably will do the same thing. So you can probably pick up a Mavic Pro pretty cheap. And one thing I noticed with this camera that I am a bit disappointed in is right out of the box, it's a bit soft. So I've noticed that I could dial up the sharpness. In the settings, you can dial up the sharpness. I dial it up by 1 point, and it seems to make it equivalent to, you know, a Phantom or my old Mavic with the clarity. I think just the software, the Hasselblad software, came out of the box too soft. It also comes out a little too warm. So it's a little bit, the yellows are a little yellower, the greens are a little, everything just seems overly saturated. So the way I could get around it is shooting that D-log, that very flat profile, and then add color in post-production.
Exactly. I did a video where I compared this here, the Mavic 2 Pro, against the Autel Evo. Now the Autel Evo has a very flat color profile when you leave it on normal, and when you put a very base flat color profile against an oversaturated color profile, it makes the Mavic 2 Pro look way saturated, and people thought that I was turning it into cartoon mode or something. It was pretty weird. But no, that's the colors you get on the Mavic 2 Pro. But when you're flying high in the sky, you know, maybe that's designed for that. It doesn't look too bad, and I do agree with you, it is a little bit soft. I did find a lot of times on my Mavic 2 Pro, I have to tap to focus a lot, because even when I'm looking at the image, I go, that's a little soft, and I tap to focus, it gets a little bit sharper, but it's probably not as sharp as that it should be. It's really designed for that post-processing.
Yeah, I think with the firmware update, they're going to address some of these. They got this out. I think the firmware wasn't completely ready yet. So they're going to sharpen. I bet they'll sharpen the image just a tiny bit. Probably, hopefully, dial down the color saturation just a tiny bit, because it does look overly colorized, like somebody went in and did that on purpose. And then the third thing is that precision landing is ridiculously bad, considering the older technology drone hits it perfectly.
My Spark precision lands perfectly. It's like awesome.
My Mavic Pro, bang on the thing every time, and this one's like 8 feet away when it lands. So I don't know what that's about.
My theory was always, now trust me guys, this is a theory. So my theory is the only thing different in every DJI drone that has precision landing is in this one they put these LED lights. Now these cameras have to take a snapshot when it takes off, which is okay because the lights aren't on, but when you're landing, if these lights go on while it's landing, they might cause some sort of flaring of the actual image and throw off the precision landing. So I think, just my guess, that's why we don't have it on this drone at the moment, but they'll figure out a way around it.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong, but it's just a theory.
In sunlight though, that light shouldn't come on. So,
no,
right,
but you could manually turn it on if you want.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I'm in bright sun like this and I tell it, I take off from my nice landing platform with the big H on it, and then I take off, and then I say, okay, and I do the hover, just like you're supposed to make sure it knows where it is, and then you fly away, and then you hit return to home. It gets close.
I know.
It gets 8-10 feet away, but it won't. Dumb luck, sometimes it'll land on the H, but most of the time it's kind of like it's a random thing. It gets you close enough, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So. Personally, I have no need for precision landing. I just use it when I hit return to home or it goes out of range. However, I've had 2 people write to me on my channel. One was a mountain climber, and that mountain climber says when he's climbing a mountain with his buddy, and they do precision takeoff, they want that drone to come back and land in the same location because they are busy climbing when the drone's coming back. So they don't want it falling off the mountain edge. And the second person who wrote to me was a first responder and said, first responders, we send the drone out to survey, do whatever it has to, and when it's coming back, we're a first responder and we can't sit there waiting for this thing to land. We have to go and assist our first responders. You're
just going to trust it's going to be there when you get back.
You trust that it's going back to where you left it. So to them, it's a big deal. To guys like us, not such a big deal at the moment, but we might have situations.
For me, when I'm out on the islands in the Thousand Islands, they're often very forested, and I'll find a little patch of land in between a bunch of trees, and I'll take off from that. Because on these islands, they're uninhabited, so you find that accidental open spot, and that's where you take off from. So when I hit return to home, it can't be 8 feet or 10 feet to the right, or it theoretically might hit branches coming back. So for me, it is a big selling feature. Now, when I don't trust it, I will manually see it, and I will fly it down into that little opening between the trees manually, but I won't trust it to do it on its own.
Okay. All right, so everybody watching, this is what we're going to do. So at the exact same time, on the count of 3, I'll go 1, 2, don't do it, yes. And when I say 3, we're both going to hit the return to home button, and we'll see how close they land to their little landing pad. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's see what they're doing.
Go home.
Oh, yours went go home before mine went go home. Yeah. All right, so I see yours coming down. Which landing pads are yours?
The orange one.
Okay.
Look how far away it is.
So, hang on a sec here. But if mine's the dark one. Here, okay, so here's Craig's Mavic 2 Pro. There's his landing pad. Here's my Phantom. His landed there. Let's see the Phantom coming down. Is it gonna, well, it's doing better, but where's the precision landing? And now it says not suitable for landing. So, well, that's where it is, see? But it won't land, it says not suitable, so I gotta do it manually.
Make it look like, there you go, it hit it perfectly.
Yeah, look at Craig, look what it's doing, it's doing so awesome. I know I'm in the way. Okay. So what we
had a little issues with magnetic something, right?
Yeah,
taking off.
My drone doesn't like the landing pad. I can't even calibrate it on the landing pad, and it doesn't want to land on the landing pad, but it's closer than the Mavic 2 Pro.
Which has got to be 10 feet away.
That's it. Right? I don't know, maybe it dislikes the landing pad even more than my Phantom 4 Pro. Maybe that's the problem. Here's what we'll do next. So the Mavic 2 Pro is selling right now for like $14.49 or $14.99. I haven't checked the price as the last 2 seconds. It might even be $15.99 or $2,099. Yeah, it keeps going up every day. But the other drone in the same price category that you have an option for would be the Phantom 4 Pro. So here's my super bright white, typical Phantom 4 Pro. Now this is version 1. It's not the 2.0 with the OcuSync, but they're pretty much identical, the 2.0 to this one. This one here is Lightbridge, not OcuSync. But the camera is identical, the sensor system's identical, flight time is pretty much identical, not much difference. And I do have the low noise props for this, so you'll see, Craig, it's probably not as low noise as you're thinking. Yeah. Low noise is a thing that's left up to personal. Relative to its old. That's old right. Yeah.
So let's talk about the sound difference. See how mine's much, even though it's closer. Look at how.
Well, here, let me get rid of mine. Let's send mine away up in the sky. So we just hear the Mavic 2 Pro. Okay, so we can't hear the Phantom anymore. It's way up in the sky. Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
I can still hear yours.
Can you?
Okay. So no, it's fine. But what I'll do is I'll land mine.
Okay.
Now you bring yours down.
Oh, mine's the Racket. Mine is the Phantom 4 Pro, and it has the low noise props. These are low noise props, just in case you're wondering.
That is probably twice as loud as the Mavic 2 Pro.
If I had the high noise props, it would be much louder, but these are the low noise props. Yeah, it is. That's what I tell people. I go, it's, you know, it's a different pitch, it's a lower pitch, but it's still crazy.
Yeah, mine you can't hear up there for sure. You can't.
Here, I know I'm just bringing it close to us, but it's like, it's craziness. So one thing on here, if you take a look at the camera on here, and Craig, if you hold up your Mavic 2 Pro, I don't know if we can get them both there somehow. Sideways. So there's the camera on the Phantom 4 Pro. It's quite large and it has a great cooling system and a huge lens. It doesn't suffer from many of the issues that the Hasselblad Mavic 2 Pro suffers from with the oversaturation and the softness. It's quite sharp. And also, I've never had to tap the focus on the Phantom 4 Pro, but I have to tap the focus on the Mavic 2. So in the video, you've probably seen some video footage right now already of Craig flying his Mavic 2 Pro and me flying the Phantom 4 Pro, and exactly what the camera detail looks like out of both. None of these cameras have received any enhancements. There's no post-processing anywhere. So basically, what you see, which you've probably already seen because we haven't flown yet, but we're gonna interlace it in the video. What you've already seen is just direct video out of these here 2 drones for now. So I think it's just a camera difference, not really sure. One thing I did want to point out is, can you take your battery out for a sec? All right, so this battery, these have gone up in price. They are now quite a bit more expensive than when they first came out. This is a 4-cell battery. This is the battery for the Phantom 4 Pro. It's a 4-cell battery. This battery from day one has almost cost me $200 when they first launched the Phantom 4 Pro. Right now it's $169 US. It has the same flight time as this battery. So this is not a bad deal for a 4-cell battery. So your little Mavic 2 Pro gets pretty much even a better flight time, if not the same, than my Phantom 4 Pro. But look at the size of my battery and how much more I have to pay for it.
It's a bit heavier. It's a bigger drone for sure.
It's got more weight. It has sensors all around, but it has no sensor on the top like the Mavic 2 has. And it doesn't do all the cool flight patterns that the Mavic 2 Pro does. So if you're thinking of getting this over the Mavic 2 Pro, the Mavic 2 Pro has better obstacle avoidance because it's smarter. This has horizontal obstacle avoidance. So it follows me, and if there's a tree in the way, it will go around the tree, but it does it horizontally. It's not going to go under the tree.
And mine will.
Okay, I don't know if this will follow me over here. Well, I guess it would. Yeah, this tree is high. It will easily go around this tree. Actually, it'll probably, there's no sensors on the top, so it'd probably crash into the tree, is it? Oh no, it's beeping. Yeah, it went around. I'll keep going this way. You're gonna follow me around the tree? Oh, it's pretty good. I'm not doing anything. Oh, it sees me. It's doing that automatically. All right, so the Phantom 4 Pro, look, it's moving by itself. I'm not doing a thing. It's going around. It's probably, and it's coming into the tree. No, it's got no upward sensor, so it's beeping a lot, so it has to move to the right or left. It only has horizontal active track. So his little Mavic Pro's going, it's doing well. Here, I'm gonna try to follow it this way. It's going, whoa, whoa, look at, whoa, don't come back at me, whoa. Yeah, that's pretty wild, and it did it pretty fast too. Look at it go. Oh yeah. That's pretty awesome. Look at that, and the sun should be in its eyes, and it's still going around this tree. Look at the sun's in my eyes. Oh yeah, the Mavic Pro definitely wins an active track. That is way better than the Phantom 4 Pro could do. Way better, by miles. All right.
So I told you, it will go under, but you can't start super high or it doesn't want to go that far.
No, so for anybody out there that's chasing squirrels around a tree, best drone to have. And the other thing you don't have on this that I really love on the Mavic 2 Pro, and I love it on, well, a lot of the DJI drones, even the Mavic Air, is the quick shots. I have no quick shots on this. So I can do a lot of cool things, but I can't do the quick shots, and I don't know why DJI never added them since I have all the sensors all around, but they're not on there. I do have many other flight features that the Mavic 2 Pro doesn't have, but they're from the olden days of the Phantom, when we used to fly a lot of things manually with course lock and all these strange things you would do and the different follow me's. This here on the Phantom, you can still turn the GPS off, and when you turn the GPS off, you have different abilities to fly it. You're flying it like a full pilot. None of the sensors work, nothing. It just flies like with no GPS, nothing. I don't know if they did that for no-fly zones or whatever, but it's an option for some people, but for most people, we leave the GPS on.
I just did a bunch of things for quick shots. I tried them all, and I filmed it. And at first I was like, some of these are pretty basic, like just circle around you and stuff like that. I said, why would I need that? I could fly. And then I realized, how many times do you not want to be holding a controller while you're in video? When you're doing cinematic stuff, you want to be able to put that controller behind the bush and then be looking off into the sunset as the thing's going around you and everybody wonders who's flying the drone. So. Yeah,
and the silly thing is DJI added gesture mode to the Phantom 4 Pro, which is weird, like, because I always thought gesture mode was gimmicky. It's on the Spark, like those. So it's very strange what DJI did.
It's a different product, really.
Yeah. So a lot of the features in the Mavic 2 Pro will probably never end up on the Phantom 4 Pro, but they will end up on the Phantom 5 Pro.
And then I'll probably regret that I got the Phantom 2. Or the Mavic 2, because like I said, it would be nice to have the landing gear to grab. Yes. Because I do tend to fly right off my boat a lot. Yeah. And so I'm having to make sure that my boat comes to almost a dead stop for me to be able to hand catch it. Yeah.
That is if the Phantom 5 actually has landing gear.
Oh, well, possibility you won't, eh?
I don't know.
They could totally redesign
because every drone nowadays has to be foldable, so you know they're just going to fold this landing gear. I'll just unfold it to fly, fold it back up not to fly.
That could be.
Same as camera.
Then there will be no upside for me.
There'll be no upside. It'll just be a flying X.
Yeah,
that's it.
There we go.
Got all these warnings. It's going to be dangerous.
1, 2, 3, go!
Here we go.
Uh-oh, you're gonna crash into each other.
No, don't tell me that.
38, 40, 41.6, 41.9, 42.3, 42.8.
I'm only at 19 meters per second.
43 miles per hour.
I've got 19 meters per second, the max. That's the best I can get.
Woo!
And I'm there.
I'm already back. I won! I won!
So, in this unscientific test, the Mavic 2 Pro did well. All right, guys, so this is the end of the video. The next question, who is taller, Craig or Steve?
Stand up straight.
I know. It's like, holy crap, I'm short. Oh, you're on a hill. Well, he's got heels on. Anyways. Okay, so that's the end of the video. And what we're going to do is hope you enjoyed the video footage. We haven't seen it. We've been flying around for about an hour and a bit.
Yeah, it's been fun though.
And yeah, so we're going to go check out what the footage looks like. We'll probably have some more comments on it after this. So for now, I'll say from Steve and Captain Drone, I'll say goodbye.
Bye from cruising off duty.
All right, take care, guys.
Well, that was a fun day. I'd like to thank Steve for coming out and flying his drone against mine so we could compare. I love my Mavic 2 Pro, and at this point I've had it for over a month and my opinion hasn't changed. This thing rocks in a lot of ways. It only has a few detractors. The good things are, obviously, its active tracking is very good. It'll change altitude to try and follow you, to avoid branches and things, which I think is pretty damn cool. Its camera is really, really good. Now, I've learned you got to turn the sharpness up by one setting just to make it as crisp as the Mavic or the Phantom 4 Pro. The color is a little too saturated in the natural. I'm now shooting exclusively in the 4K HQ mode and shooting in D-Log and then adding color in post-production. That gives you the best image and the most dynamic range. You're going to see a lot more footage from this new drone of mine. In fact, I'm going to take it with me to the Annapolis Sailboat Show, which I leave for this weekend. And stay tuned for my live episode with Janice, where we're going to talk about what our plans are at the show. And that's actually tomorrow, which when you're watching this might be today. October 3rd, 8 p.m. live episode. Check it out. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If so, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe. And until next time, this is Craig signing off, wishing you safe cruising.